I know that writing practice is how you become a better writer. However, not all writing practice is created equal. And some writers can practice, and stay pretty much the same in terms of their quality of writing over a long period of time. And other writers grow over a period of time, and they can actually grow pretty quickly because the writers who grow all have something in common. So I think you're going to like what I'm going to share, because it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to write more in order to become a better writer faster. But first, if you are not already subscribed to the Revision Fairy channel, hello, I am Stephanie. I post videos once a week about writing, editing, creativity, and productivity, and a lot of the overlap between all of those subjects. So if you don't want to miss a video, click the red subscribe button below the video and tap the notification bell, because then you will get a little note letting you know I have published something new for you to check out. So my last video of 2020, a couple videos ago now, I talked about the idea of pivoting. I use the word pivot a lot. And I'm going to return to the idea of pivoting to give you an example of how you can create the strongest writing practice for you. I'm going to start with a general example about shifting between different writing projects, and then I'm going to get more specific into how pivoting can be applied to your individual writing practice. So the example that I want to give about transitioning between different writing projects is a personal one. It's something that happened with the evolution of my own website and my own content. Many years ago now, I started publishing writing prompts once a week. I sent them out in email to my email subscribers over on my website. I love answering questions to sort of jumpstart my creative process and my writing process. A little bonus tip is turn whatever content you're working on into a question and then answer that question to start writing quicker than if you feel a little stuck, that is. So I love writing prompts, and I thought that would be a very helpful thing to deliver to my email subscribers. So for about a year, I sent out writing prompts once a week in an email. But as you can imagine, over that year, things changed, just like things always change in a year. And it just didn't work in my schedule, and I didn't have as many ideas anymore. After a year of being really excited about writing prompts and writing one every single week, I was a little burnt out on the subject. I didn't have a lot to give to people, I felt like, but I didn't want to abandon the project because I still like the writing prompts. But at that point, I had to pivot. I had to evaluate what would work for me and what would be still of value to my email subscribers, but without, them seeing the quality decrease from me, since, I was in a different place about a year later, and responsibilities and other things that were going on just didn't make it possible for me to continue with the once a week schedule. So I started publishing them once a month instead. So that was a little pivot to make sure I was staying on track to produce my best work. Then I did that for between 1 and 2 years. I sent them out once a month. And then I started this channel, and that became my focus for the content that I wanted to produce. And I kept with my monthly emails a little bit in the beginning of this channel, but I soon realized, hey, I have to pivot again. I want to put my creative energy into making videos. I think that that's where the most value is. This prompt thing ran its course. And so that's what I did. And the pivoting is really keeping an eye on what you're doing and being really honest with yourself about what's working and what isn't working, and how you can continue adding the value that you want to add, it just might look a little bit different than you have before. So I really like this pivoting concept because you're still committed to the same project. You still want the same thing, but life evolves and creativity evolves and your interests evolve. And so pivoting allows you to stick with your original commitment. It might just take a different shape or form than you originally intended, and that is completely natural. So let's take a look at how pivoting really applies to a specific writing practice. Let's say that you decide you're committing to a writing practice. I'm just kind of giving a very, very general example here, actually. Our specific example is starting with a general concept of word count in terms of your writing practice. So let's just make up a scenario where you decide to write 1,000 words a day. That is your goal. It's a big goal, but sometimes people get really into it and really want to make that commitment, and they decide that they're writing 1,000 words a day. And that is going to be their writing practice. That is a great start, but you have to realize where do you go from there? And is that a sustainable thing to do over time? And does it need to be? Do you have to make this commitment of 1,000 words a day and really stick with it in order to become a better writer? The short answer is no, but I have an analogy that I want to make about how you could see what this looks like with a cooking example. So our foundation in our writing practice is 1,000 words a week. You have 7,000 words at the end of, or 1,000 words a day, excuse me. And then you have 7,000 words, in theory, at the end of the week. And if you just keep doing that blindly, it could feel really good. And I'm not saying that isn't something to be proud of, because that's more than I write a week. That's more than many people write a week. So if you are really pumping out 7,000 words a week as part of your writing practice, again, fantastic start. That's something to be proud of. But we could equate that to someone who just starts cooking for the first time. They don't know how to cook anything, and they learn to cook eggs. They look up on YouTube Ina Garten's scrambled eggs. That's a real video. I think it's only about 3 minutes if you want to check it out. But they watch that video on YouTube. They watch some other scrambled egg videos on YouTube. And they decide that is their starting place for their cooking experience as they learn how to cook. So they make scrambled eggs for 7 days in a row. And they burn the eggs every day. Okay, again, it's a great start. They were cooking nothing before. Now for the past 7 days, they have cooked scrambled eggs, but the scrambled eggs are burned. So where do they go from there? How do they improve? Do they just keep going with what they were doing? And for the next week, the next month, the next months down the line, they just keep burning their eggs every day? You would say, no. You wouldn't want to just blindly keep making the eggs the exact same way. You would want to go back and look at, okay, I need to take them off the stove sooner. Maybe I'm turning the heat up too high to begin with. Maybe I need to try a different type of egg. Maybe I want to cook an omelet. Maybe I want to bake eggs in like a frittata style. Or maybe I just want to try cooking something else in general and then go back to eggs. Right, that would be the cook and the very new novice cook who is not only growing in terms of their egg production, but they're growing as a cook or a chef in general as they are experimenting. Because if you just keep going with your original plan of the scrambled eggs for 7 days that are burned, eventually you will get tired of eating your own burned scrambled eggs. At first you might not care how they taste because you're just happy that you cooked something. But you will get tired of them, and kind of most importantly, you won't have anyone to share them with because no one's going to want your burned scrambled eggs. So you need to pivot in your cooking practice with not only experimenting how you can make your eggs better, but how you can also move on to different dishes and lots of variety. So you become a better chef overall. So that's what you want to do in your writing practice. You want to vary your writing practice so that you're not only becoming a better writer, but you're becoming a better creative person overall. And you're looking for the opportunities for creative projects. You can pivot and see where your talents can be best used, where the best outlets are for what you want to do. And that's going to probably evolve from your original idea of what you want to work on. So what all great writers do who grow sooner rather than later is that they make time for reflection in their writing. And this is a chef who realizes, they have to change the way that they do their scrambled eggs and maybe take a break from scrambled eggs and try different things. So that writer knows that they need space to write and they need space to reflect. These are two separate things, because you got to get the writing done in the first place, otherwise you don't have a writing practice. But you optimize that writing practice by also having time to reflect on what you're doing. So the very simple, easy thing that you can do once you've started a writing practice is to schedule time to reflect once a month, to look back at everything that you've done over the past month. And look for areas to improve. You could do this every week, and it might be a mini session every week where you reflect on what you've been doing. I like a month because you have more to reflect on, and within a month you can almost immediately see areas where you have improved naturally, and that can be encouraging. So when you have more to look at over a month, it can feel a little bit better, but that doesn't mean that each week you should just be blindly going forward and not looking at what you're doing. If it's more comfortable for you to reflect in shorter periods of time, that can totally work too. So simple thing to incorporate into your writing practice that makes you a better writer faster is to schedule time once a month to reflect. And there are three main things that you can be looking for when you're reflecting on your writing. And this is really when you're coming in with your critical eye, because all of those writers who grow quickly and become great writers are good editors. And this is the process of an editor. So if you want to be a great writer, you got to be a great editor. So make the time to look for, these are just three simple things. You can add in your own. There are lots of things that you'll be able to identify based on the type of writing that you do and your own style and what works for your own practice. But three simple things that you can do once you've scheduled time once a month to reflect on your writing is to look at your word choice. Really examine the words that you use. And this doesn't mean that you have to use bigger, fancier words in order for your writing to be better. But are you using the most precise words possible? Are you using the language that your audience uses? Really look at the choices that you're making, because they should all be intentional, not just the initial words that come out of your head when you're writing a draft. A lot of the time, those words do work, but you, again, want to make sure that they are intentional and you didn't just accidentally produce the right words. It will help you learn more about the writing process if you just have a very critical eye when you examine your word choice. The second thing that you should reflect on is your sentence structure and your phrases, which is really how you string those words together. Do your sentences tend to be a little bit short? Do they tend to be a little bit long? Do you have natural transitions, or is the writing a little bit choppy? There's a focus that you can do. It's kind of mechanical. You think your draft is maybe a little bit more the artistic process of writing, but the review process is really forgetting about the beautiful message that you want to communicate and looking structurally at what you're writing, and is it the best presentation? Have you put words together in the way that best communicate your message? So you have a beautiful message, is it communicated in the best way? And that's what you look at when you review your sentence structure, and really hear your paragraph structure too, as you review how they all flow together and improvements that you can make. And the third thing that you can look at during your reflection time once a month is you want to look at the topics that you are presenting to your audience. This really helps you refine your content strategy overall. Because again, you just don't want to have an idea for the content that you're going to be doing and blindly going forward when there is room for those ideas to evolve to better serve the people that you want to serve. So really, really simple here. When you review the topics that you have been writing about and the topics that you plan to write about in the future, are these the best topics for your audience? Has your audience evolved? Is there different people in your audience than you thought there'd be, and there's a different type of writing or a different type of content topics that you could address to help the people who actually showed up in your audience, not the people who you intended to reach. Hopefully they're the same thing, but sometimes things evolve. And what's fun about the whole creative process is that you don't know everything from the start, and you don't know everything in the middle. And it just keeps going, and there really is no end. And once again, returning to the term pivot, it's so critical, because when you're dealing with a craft that is constantly evolving, you have to shift based on what is actually happening, not your original concept of how you thought it was going to be. Because the creative process will surprise you, and it can be a very fun thing that you can flow with. It doesn't have to knock you off your game. In fact, it shouldn't, because that's what's fun. We don't want to know everything to begin with. That's a little controlling. So that's how you become a better writer quicker. I don't think it has anything to do with word count. Just recapping or going back to the egg example a little bit, that new cook is going to do a little bit each day that helps him become a better cook over time. So maybe one day you only write 200 words. Maybe the next day you write 1,000 words. Maybe the next day you don't write anything. The key here is consistency. I think consistency over an exact word count is a little bit more loose. It's a little bit more freeing, and I think it does position you to do your best work. So if you're feeling a little guilty about that you haven't written enough or you're not writing enough, just think about that new cook, learning to cook eggs or other dishes. It's going to vary every day, but what's important for that new cook is that they keep trying, and they keep learning something new, and they keep making adjustments to their original process so that they do get better quicker, and they're not just blindly burning their eggs every day and thinking, wow, this is great, I'm cooking every day. Yes, to a certain degree, but that's not a practice that is aimed on improving. So know the difference, and don't burn your eggs. Or if you have burned your eggs, there are plenty of opportunities to make perfectly cooked eggs as well. Once again, if you are not already subscribed to the Revision Fairy channel, click the red subscribe button below the video. And while you're below the video, give this video a like if it helps you or will help you refine your writing practice so that you are getting better quicker. And thanks so much. I'll talk with you soon.